point of view. When the so-called modern environmental movement began in 1970, around there, it came out because of shock and discovery. The Cuyahoga River lit on fire spontaneously in Cleveland, and so many other discoveries of damage that we were doing to the earth became evident through science. And it really created the first initial wave of sort of anger and outrage, and and people wanted to do something about it. And the first thing they wanted to do was blame somebody. And the second stage, if you will, of environmentalism, if you could call it a stage, was really to stop damage. In other words, to try to limit emissions or pollution, or you had clean water, clean air, Endangered Species Act in the United States. And so the idea was to stop doing what was harmful. And then I guess the third stage, and these sort of parallel and overlap, but the third stage was really to start thinking about substitution. That is to say, okay, what about renewable energy? What about biological agriculture? What about systems that, like waste equals food, where you're taking zero emission projects and so forth and using the waste as nutrients for a new process. And there was in Denmark an industrial park, Kalundborg, that cited different companies together whose waste product of one company was the feedstock for another company. And so this was elimination of waste and the judicious use of resources. And so this, in a sense, is the third stage. But I think in all of these stages, what didn't happen really was really stepping back as a biologist would and look at, well, what is the system itself doing? And I believe very strongly that if we're going to succeed at this transition from where we are today to a sustainable society, hope has to pass a sobriety test and walk a pretty straight line to reality. And that line has to walk through physics and thermodynamics, and it can't bypass the laws of physics, and which we've been trying to do. And let me give you some examples of that. The system we are in, I would call it a thermal industrial system. It's based on heat, but probably more importantly, it's based on violence. It's based on tremendous pressure, tremendous heat, tremendous vacuum, rare earths, heavy metals, catalysts, noble gases. These are the things that we use to devise the feedstock and the substances and the materials and the products that you have with you right now, including your smartphone and your cars and even renewable energy in terms of generators and things like that. So this system is what you call a catabolic system. And in every organism, you have anabolic and catabolic. You have nutrients that build up the organism, and then you have, quite necessarily, you have flows of chemicals and nutrients that tear down the system because you need to build up and tear down. You've heard the term anabolic steroid. It puts muscle on you, quite quickly. But the industrial system really is a catabolic, which is it really tears down. The problem is we don't see what it's tearing down. We just see the Four Seasons Hotel, and we see our highway, and we see our cities and our cars and the Audi 8 out there, but we don't see the damage, right? It's a catabolic system. So to me, what Janine is talking about, what we're talking about is moving to a true sustainable system, true green. And that is to really understand and to reflect in our research and our development, in our industrial applications, what we know works, which is life. And rather than life being something out there somewhere that we study, to recognize that we are life itself. And as I said earlier this morning, the biggest app store in the world is in life. There are more solutions than we can count. Millions of solutions to problems that life encountered over the last billions of years, and came up with very extraordinary means to solve them. But the means to solve them were done at ambient temperature, with self-assembly, no heat, no pressure, no vacuum, no heavy metals, no catalysts, no rare earths, etc., and done in extraordinary ways. And if you doubt that that's so, then look at a mirror, because you are self-assembled. And you do it at body temperature, and you do it with an extraordinary low amount of energy input compared to the organism which you are. And so the next wave to me, and really the true wave of greening our cities, our transportation systems, our materials, all the products that we value and that we want and that we use, and particularly our energy systems, have to really rethink the whole basis upon which they're made. Everybody, I think, if I ask for raising hands, says, well, what do you think about solar photovoltaics? And everybody say, oh, it's really good, it's expensive, but it's really great, we should do more of it. But if you break down solar photovoltaics, you'll find that it's the most toxic energy source in the world per kilowatt hour. It's more toxic than coal, it's more toxic than nuclear. Who gave it the hall pass? We didn't really do our homework. And the reason for that is that solar is made using thermo-industrial techniques. It's the old thinking. There's nothing wrong with the old thinking, it got us here. But the old thinking, back to Janine's thing, isn't the how of innovation. The how of innovation comes from recognizing that life really follows the path of least resistance. It doesn't force, it doesn't push, it draws, it pulls. In that sense, you could say, from a gender point of view, it's very feminine. It's not masculine. It isn't Promethean. It isn't heroic. It doesn't try to fix things by overcoming or dominating them. It actually creates things by using things at their lowest entropic state and on a molecular level, and that's really what green chemistry is about. So when you take the world of green chemistry, which is, again, your green chemistry, every organism, every plant, every tree is green chemistry writ large, and you combine that with, in a sense, the principles that you see in living organisms and living systems, and you put those two together, what you have is a combination of extraordinary innovation. And Janine's Institute, for example, has a database of 2,000 emergent technologies that could be commercialized right now. They're there from academics and inventors, mostly from schools and so forth, that are extraordinary. And she mentioned some of them. There are thousands of others and so forth. So this upwelling of innovation offers us extraordinary ways to solve problems in a way which sips energy, which does not create toxic byproducts, chemicals, and which actually can move the ball down the field, can move us forward in ways which really do honor both the goal of sustainability, but at the same time, a radical reduction on the impact that we have on resource systems and upon each other.